we are. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone is having a good Wednesday already. If it's Wednesday at 10:30 Pacific time, it must be Facebook Live. And I'm Kate Richburg at beadshop.com. It is great to have everybody here. I'm just pulling you up on my computer so I can see all of you guys as you jump on so I can say hello. And make sure that everyone can see us live. There we are. I can see you right there. Well, I'm in front of the camera, Kate Richburg. Brandon's behind the camera. Janice is answering questions all the way on the other coast, on the East Coast. And of course, we have our Gita jumping on as beadshop.com, doing some linking and general merriment from our beadshop.com website over there. So, good morning. It's great to have everybody here. We've been running around this morning getting everything ready because this is an epic episode, literally. So it's great to have everybody here. And yes, all of you guys are coming on. It's great. It's awesome to have you. Look at that. Everyone, there's Gita just jumped on. Good evening, Gita in Denmark. It's great to have everybody here. So I wanted to just give a quick shout out and again a big thanks. I know that you guys, some of you watched Dria's and Janice's live from Virginia from the MG Walk on Saturday. And I wanted to let you guys know, some of you who maybe aren't in the bead group or who didn't get to see it, but you have been seeing in our newsletters this past week that Drea had set up a donation page for her myasthenia gravis walk, which is a cause near and dear to her heart, as she, our very own Drea, was diagnosed with it last year. And so we were really stoked to kind of rally around her, and we were even more stoked that our customers rallied around her as well. So thanks to your efforts, we raised over $3,000, the beadshop.com group team. Andrea herself, her team raised, I think it was close to $7 grand, and was, I think, the number 2 fundraiser in her group. So congratulations to Drea, and thank you so much to all of you on behalf of all of us here at beadshop.com, and especially our Drea. You know, she is our customer happiness team, and she truly does keep our customers happy. So we're all one big team here at beadshop.com, but I know a lot of you almost on a daily basis interact with Drea, and so she really, really appreciates all of that support. So thank you for that. Let's see, so we've got a bunch of people jumping on. We also had a really fun drawing. Mimi Hill, I saw you just jumped on. Mimi won the drawing for the gift certificate. When you donate, your name was put in the raffle, so congratulations to you, Mimi. And many of you donated and are getting little hand-stamped snowflake charms that I'm doing. I've got over half of them stamped, so those will start going out to you guys next week. We have a list of everything that's going out, so don't worry, those will be fluttering your way soon. So again, thank you for that. And Eileen, you're on. Eileen was there at the walk. It was great. So we'll, of course, do this again next year. And if any of you are on the East Coast and want to join Drea next year, you're more than welcome. We'll put it out when it comes around again. So on that note, let me take a bit of hydration here.
And we have the West Coast version, too.
We do. That's right. Brandon's bringing it up. We do have the West Coast walk that some of us are going to be doing here. So if you'd like to join us there as well, we'll put up some information on that. So if you'd like to join us to walk, you're more than welcome to do that. I think it's in November. And Drea is actually going to be out in the office and going to do a free tip Friday with me. So we're looking forward to having her here in the office. So that's what we've got. So let me also, there's a couple of other things I wanted to share with you. Emily, I hope Emily's going to be back with us at the end of the month, the end of October. I have a great project scheduled for you guys that I've cooked up, so that's going to be fun. And Janice is going to be with us at the beginning of December. She'll be back in the office after the Thanksgiving holiday. We've got a couple of things coming up. We have a great project from Janice. Those of you who loved her Zen of Stringing project, she's working on a new one, and I'm only going to tell you the title. It's called The Zen of Fishing. You're going to love it. So that's coming up at the beginning of November. And just before that, Karen inspired Cara and I to make these bracelets that I think you're going to dig. If Cara and I can get ours finished, they're going to be up on the website next week. So there'll be more projects coming up next week as well. So that's what we've got. So I want to share with you guys, some of you may remember Janice's Designing a Cuff project. And that Designing a Cuff project went around this clasp. When we got this clasp in, it's called the Clio clasp, and we have it in different loop configurations. This is Clio 5. We have Clio 3, I think we have Clio 2, I think. And it's like what we call an Egyptian clasp because it's a great one to make kind of that Egyptian collar. But it comes apart just like that, and it has a, you can see, if I put it really close to you guys, you can see, well, and you'll see this when we turn things around, but it has a little magnet there. So it's super durable. We've kind of put it through its paces here and played around with it, and we've used it on a lot of things. So this is going to be kind of the cornerstone of what we're doing today. So this is it here, the Clio clasp. And I took inspiration from Janice's Designing a Cuff, and I created my own take on it. And thank goodness, Emily was here a few weeks ago, and I handed all of the stuff to her. I kind of laid it out and said, this is what I want it to look like, and she did the samples and sent them back. So it was truly a collaboration with Janice's inspiration, her original Designing a Cuff, and then a lot of help from Emily getting the cuffs actually put together. So you can see, I really love this strap leather, and I hadn't really worked with it much until I came back to Bead Shop and understood what, I can't even see this, let me put my glasses on, there you go, there we are. I understood what a complete staple it was kind of in our Bead Shop wardrobe, jewelry wardrobe, there we go. And so you can see what I've got going on here. We designed it with the strap leather along the outside, 2 strands of beaded stuff on the inside, and then 3 strands of chain in the center, okay? And we have this collection, this one's called Ganymede, and then this one is called Callisto. And we named them after planets, didn't we? Moons, I think. We named them after, I can't remember, Emily and I were here so late, we pulled these names out of a hat almost, but we've got this one, Callisto, and this one is Ganymede, the lighter one. And so for this guy we used the fireworks leather and then the copper colorway, and for this one here we used the dove gray leather and kind of a monochromatic palette. And I'm going to show you kind of how I pull all this together. I of course have pulled some other stuff right here, and I'm going to share with you kind of how I pulled this together as well. So how about, without any further ado, Brandon, why don't we move the camera around, and you guys can see what I see, and I'm going to talk you through a few things here. So bear with us here just a second, and we're going to move everybody around here. So we're going to have a little bit of camera moving. I'm going to lock and load this camera in so you guys get the view of what I'm seeing. I'm getting better at doing this, I think. There we go, and we're locked. And how's that looking, Brandwin? Are we? I don't know if we're straight. Are we straight?
I think it's pretty straight.
Maybe I'm going too far.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, this is good. Let me get my hands in there so we can see. Yeah, looks good. Oh, look at all that jewelry on my hands. Fantastic. So, all right, so we're good to go there. Let me show you what I've got. And welcome, everybody. I'm glad I see you guys jumping on from everywhere. It's great to have all of you all here. And I know that some of you guys are also watching this on the Kate Richburg Jewelry Educator page. I'm sorry I don't have the comments up over there, you guys, but a big shout out to you guys who are watching it over there. And of course, to all of you guys who are watching this afterwards when it's not live over on YouTube. We really, really appreciate your support. So, as always, you guys, you can find the materials list if you go to our website, beadshop.com. Oh, Brandon, that looks great. The light is really good. If you want the materials list and everything that for this project, it's it's on the website, and you just click on Facebook Live, and you'll see that Facebook Live link there, and you'll see Kate's take on designing a cuff, and you'll click on it, and you'll see both of those samples coming up, and the materials list is all right there. But this is also a really good one, you guys, for you to kind of go crazy with. So let me talk a little bit about how I pulled all of this together. You may have remembered this was a piece based off of Prairie that we did a while back. And I think, Janice, didn't you and I do this on Facebook? Or maybe Emily and I did this one on Facebook. I'm going to try and see if I can find it here. I want to pull it up. You know, the designing a cuff, the Kate's take on designing a cuff that I did is really kind of a mashup. You know, it's sort of, it's sort of designing a cuff, it's sort of Prairie, it's sort of Soft Flex 101. There's so much going on with it. And this one, I'm scrolling, I'm looking for it. And maybe someone can find it before I can. But this Prairie that I did a while back, this was one that we worked on with, I think it's there. Bear with me here just a second, sorry. We use this half circle clasp for it, okay? And so the clasp really dictated the design on this piece. And it's the same thing with this designing a cuff, right? The clasp really dictates the whole design of this piece. So sometimes when I'm starting out and I'm trying to figure out, you know, what the heck am I going to make? I start with some kind of a starting point. And in this case, my starting point on both of these pieces was the clasp, right? So Bryce, thanks Janice for linking all of those. Prairie leather wrap, great. Thank you for linking those. Yeah, Crater Lake, right, Bryce Canyon. These were really cool. I really, really loved them. And I wanted to pull these out because I wanted to show that you could add a few of those elements, and I thought about adding it. Let me see if I can get this off my wrist. I thought about adding some of this beaded, we call this the Bollywood stitch. It's just the flat macrame that's been beaded. But you could add some of this to this plain leather to really make it stand out, right? You could also add some sliders here. We glued those sliders in place. It's a classic Prairie move for us. And even just the plain, look at the plain macrame. This is done with regular Ceylon, okay? It's just, I think it's so delicious. So that's another way that you could, you know, like they say, don't gild the lily, but sometimes you want to gild the lily, right? So this would be a great way to add a little more oomph or a little more beads really to this project. So you could also, instead of using this clasp for all of this, you could use multiple strands, 5 strands of leather across on this one as well. Okay, so really think about doing a mashup of techniques. You know, take a little from here, a little from there, and make your perfect project. I also wanted to pull these out. These were ones that Janice and I did on a broadcast long ago with the Fleur de Paris leather and the firecracker, the fireworks leather that I have in this project here. This uses our skyscraper clasp, And this is many strands, 2, 4, 6, 8 strands of the flat leather. And can you see how, I mean, come on, that's just delicious, right? So this is also another way, instead of stringing like this, you could, you know, do some leather, some beaded leather, you know, terminate one of the leather strands with this looped leather end and get some chain maybe across the center or some beadwork across the center. There's so much going on, and Janice linked it. It's called Kindred Spirits, and I really I love both of these. So these they all kind of play together in the sandbox kind of nicely. Okay, it would make a good collection, you know. When you create a jewelry collection for sale, or at least when I do, I try not to make everything too identical. You know, you want a kind of a nice snapshot with an overarching theme in it. And I kind of feel like this is a good collection, what Janice would say, you know, a good story. What's the story that it tells, right? Let me see if I can close that up. And so all of these kind of make a great story together, this beaded, so they all kind of work. Okay. And so, yeah, Janice, the blue one, it's here somewhere. It may be linked on a Facebook Live. I know we put it up somewhere because I was looking at it. We have a picture of it on the front page in the projects box, but I'm not really quite sure where it lives. But essentially, it's the Fleur de Paris and this silver slider and the silver skyscraper clasp. Okay, so let's break down what we have in our projects today. Okay, and there's this guy, Callisto, and this guy, Ganymede. All right. And like I said, when I was starting to palette or create the color palettes for these, I started with the leather. The leather was actually my starting point. I wanted something that was monochromatic and neutral. And then everyone loves the fireworks leather, including me. So I pulled the fireworks. And then I pulled the palette directly from the leather. So let me pull out the fireworks leather, which was here a second ago. It's right there in front of my, I knew it was there somewhere. So there's the fireworks. Okay. So the fireworks was here. Then I went right to glass beads. I was like, you know what? We've got to pull some, I wanted some English cuts, I wanted some melons, and I felt that the Picasso finish on both of these really spoke to the leather. And I wanted these, I wanted some angles and some texture, and both these melons and the English cuts have that, right? Then I wanted kind of an anchor color to kind of really pull something out of there. So I pulled the anchor of this carnelian. All right, this anchor could have also been, let me show you this. The anchor could have also been, look at what happens when I put the 6mm matte lapis there. Look at the difference. It's the same things, I've only changed the bead out. Look at that. Then I needed some glass, some more glass, some little things, you know, little spacers, little accents. So I pulled in a purple. This is the metallic suede purple, and this guy is the matte metallic antique copper. So I pulled those in. But let's look and see how it would look with the blue. Again, look at that blue with the purple. Maybe I'd take the copper out of there, and maybe I'd pull that in. Look at how cool that looks. I think it looks great. I don't know, I'm all about this matte lapis. I think I want to put it in everything I do, right? But let's get back to this colorway. Then I wanted another shape because I had a lot of round in here. So I pulled in a rondelle. When in doubt, throw in a rondelle, I'm telling you. And the rondelle is a 5mm rondelle of the Jet Picasso. Okay? So, bam, there was my glass palette. Then I went for, oh, no surprise to anyone at all who's watching at all, the little shadow in copper, right? Then I thought, you know, we had just gotten in, or we were still kind of playing around with the O beads. This is the Jet Valentinite, and it looks like, there's a little dish here. Let me dump this out so I can dump these in so you guys can actually see it. Okay, this, look how it has a little bit of black, a little bit of gold, a little bit of something happening. Okay, it was really awesome. So we threw that in. And then I chose a chain. I wanted the chain to have a little bit of bulk to it, but a little bit of airiness. So we chose our circle back, I think is what this one is. And our circle back, I thought I would use it in, whoops, not silver. I'd use it in the copper to go in there. So that was kind of the evolution of that one. And oh, of course I used some daisy spacers too. There's daisy spacers in there, right? So you can kind of throw the kitchen sink at this thing, right? And it'll work, okay? So then let me show you the monochromatic. And I had pulled this kind of dove gray, or the dove we call it. And Emily grabbed it and she said, I want to see this monochrome. And I was all right, Emily, because far be it from me to contradict our Emily Miller when she has a colorway. So, but I agreed with her. I said, we want it to be monochrome. So so she pulled right off the bat these three, the matte white African opal in 4, 6, and 8. And that was the base. And you could even, you could even just ditch the chain and just string these up like this. What a super simple, you could mix the sizes, right? But what a super simple and interesting, non-busy design that would be. I really like that a lot. So then, again, we wanted some glass, and we just echoed what we used from the other cuff, but we used the English cut, which I love, and that English cut is the ivory mercury, the melons in opal ivory and mercury, and of course the rondelles in ivory mercury. So we kind of made all those match. Then we wanted a slight bit of zip, slight bit of color. So we used the chalk white Roman rose O bead. And Emily actually chose this one. And you can see, it may not translate to the camera as well as it does here in my hand, but I have, there's maybe a slight bit of pink once in a while in those beads. So this chalk white Roman rose echoes that kind of semi-preciousness about those beads, but it also adds just a slight blush tone that I think makes it just charming. I don't want to cover it up too much so you guys can see that. Can you see that there? Then, using this bead, we went with silver findings, but using this chalk, you could also push it a little bit further and put the copper with that. Wouldn't that be just delightful? I think you could also mix your metals with it. Okay, so all of those would work, I think, really nicely. So it really just depends. Look at how cool the copper tones look with that. It really, really warms it up. Okay, so that's that color palette. I'm going to slide all this stuff over here, and I'm going to pull some fresh things in that I pulled this morning, okay? And I just, literally, this is right off the cuff. But, thank you, Brandon. We have this braided leather that sometimes doesn't get as much love as I think it should. It's very similar in size and width to the 5mm flat, but it adds a whole bunch of texture to this. I really love this. Okay. And I see Michelle's comment sneaking in here, and Michelle just said, I wish I naturally had an eye for color the way you guys do. Well, let me address that, Michelle, right now. You know, this is a lot of practice for me. I mean, I do have a natural affinity for color, that's for sure. But I think that when people are having issues with color, play around just like I was doing here on the bead table today, and mix and match your colors. Put colors together, take colors apart, take photos with your iPhone, and just become familiar and easy with using color. You can also, a great trick from Janice is she has wonderful art books. She pulls an art book right off the shelf and uses that as her color palette inspiration. So, you know, we may have a natural affinity, but it's also a lot of practice. You know, you can do it. You really, really can. I also pulled, so this is our gray metallic braided. I also pulled the pyrite metallic. And I thought, you know, I was thinking about, well, I wanted to kind of pull something together because my natural, the way I would go naturally is I would go with this gray, and I think it matches this Fleur de Paris beautifully. But I was like, you know what? I want to push myself out of, you know, picking the obvious choice. So I also pulled this one. So let's see how it comes together. Okay? So I took this right as my inspiration. This, let me put something heavy on it so it doesn't turn over. There we go. I pulled this, the Fleur de Paris here, right? Then next, right off the bat, I was walking by it, and that's why I guess I have this lapis on the braid, this 6mm matte lapis. This is the same matte lapis that I did in that classic Float Away palette project with just the different size lapis that you guys liked so much. It really, I think, looked really great. So that's this guy here. Then I thought, okay, I've got this, I've got this. I need a little blue that's lighter, okay? And so I use, this is the Alice Blue and Gold Melon, all right? Let me get this flat leather back in there. Go back. There we go. Alice Blue leather. It doesn't want to behave. It doesn't want to participate. I'm going to tape it. I'm going to boss of this leather. I'm going to tape that sucker right down. There we go. Done and done. There we are. So this guy right here. Okay, and I thought, well, we've got a nice blue palette going on. But if you look at the Fleur in the Fleur de Paris, it's a little bit on the kind of brick side. So I went in and I grabbed these wine 5mm rondelles. Okay, just grabbed them right off the wall. All right. And then I thought, well, we're going to need an O bead. So I thought I would try, there's a little bit of pink in that leather as well. I mean, I could just put this chalk white, looks pretty good with it too. But I grabbed this golden, this crystal French rose. I grabbed. There we go. Look at them apples. There we go. I think that looks great. Then I haven't even, I kind of was running out of time, so I didn't grab anything else, right? I did grab a shadow in there, that brass shadow, to kind of throw it in there. And then I thought, well, if I'm really going to mix it up, maybe I'd use a chain that's a little finer. So I got her a little lentil chain, okay, and pulled that together. So you can really start to, and you can see, you know, the influences here from the beads that I chose to the beads that I chose here. And I also pulled, I think, though I may have, oh, did I pull them over here? I also pulled, this melon might not be quite right. I could trade that blue for that red, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to use that Alice blue. I like it a lot. So I think that this, works out together pretty well. Okay. So let's get to the mechanics of this piece, because I know you guys are thinking, okay, great, Kate, this looks fantastic, but how does this actually go together? So, or how would you start? So let me measure. Let me take a measurement. And I'm going to start by freeing up the beads and doing some stringing. And this beaded strand, I don't know, it's a little less than 7 inches. Okay? Something like this cuff, when it's wide like this, you're going to need a little more room for the cuff to go around your wrist. So I'm going to aim for, you know, about 6.5 to 6 3/4 inches, about, okay? So we're going to cut some soft flex, and that's what the beading, this beading part is strung on, soft flex. And I know I have some here because I tossed it here on the table, I think. Is this it? I know I had an open one as I kind of flail around for it. Do you see it anywhere, Brandon?
Which one are you looking for?
An open soft flex. I tossed it here. Well, I can just use this one.
I don't see one that's open.
This might have just been the open one.
And I grabbed the copper one earlier.
Well, I'm going to go with this. This is the 0.014. Okay. And the 0.014, I'm going to cut, I don't know, about 10 inches. Ginger's asking me, what made you think to go for that pink? I don't know. I just kind of pulled it. There's a little bit of pink, actually, in this Fleur de Paris. It's kind of right there. And I thought, well, if it works there in this leather, it should work in my color palette, right? So, so it should work, and we'll see. And again, you guys, they're only, it's only beads. You know, I can pick these out, and if they don't work, just kind of pick them out and start over. So, you know, no stress. Nothing like 5 minutes before the show when I'm like, oh, I need one more bead. And time forces you to make a decision. So I'm going to tape up the end of my soft flex right here. You could also use a bead stopper as well. But I'm going to put some tape down. And I'm just going to cut up the beads and kind of make a little mess on the table right here in front of me. Okay, let me see if I can. I'm going to dump that one out. I'm going to open the 6 mil here. And we're just gonna, I'm just gonna make a little bit of a bead soup here. It's okay, you know, like that. And I'm gonna cut some of this wine color, some of this Alice blue. Hey Brandon, I'm gonna ask you one more favor.
Sure.
I'm gonna have you go and pick out maybe a 4mm fire polish.
Okay.
I don't know, pull a few strands and I don't know, pull some colors that you think might go with this. I don't know. We're gonna make this a group project. I think I want one more of those. Okay. So that's how this one is gonna come together. I'm gonna free some of these guys here. Okay. Now let's refer back to our 2 finished pieces again here. I want to show you what Emily did when she strung these. Is she, and I'm going to isolate these strands. I think what she did was, let's see, melon, carnelian. I think that she, yeah, I'll pull something out of here. I think she did a definite pattern. So you can see there's a melon, there's a 4 mil, there's a English cut, but there's kind of a repeating pattern that goes through here, I think, is what she did. Now, you can do that to have that repeating pattern so that your English cuts, you can see like the English cuts are nice and kind of evenly spaced. The carnelian is kind of evenly spaced. You know, the sizes are evenly spaced throughout. So this is a good way to go, okay, for that. Janice is saying, Janice just said go for light gray. Like maybe this, Janice. This is Lusterstone blue, right?
I thought it was a Lusterstone gray.
Lusterstone gray.
Blue.
Lusterstone gray could
Grab
be.
one of them.
This would also work to pull in the this iris. It would pull in the braided, which I think, I know Janice, you're saying go for the gray, but I think, I don't know, I might just do it. Because, you know what? I'm going to do me. Which one is this? Someone can link it. Do you know what this one is? Lusterstone gray would also look great, but this is iris something. Matte iris.
I can go check. Just
Yeah,
make sure.
Brandon's going to check. Okay. And so I also have a few of these guys here. And I'll know if this works when I start to put it on the thread, right? When I start to put it on the soft flex. If it's not right, it's not right. Is that Kayla from Dakota Stones watching here? I see you guys. I see Dakota Stones on there. You guys. Matte Iris Brown. All right.
I did actually grab the blue instead of the gray.
All right.
Grab the gray.
Oh, well, grab a stone luster gray for me too, Bran, would you? Just for fun. I don't know. So I'm going to pull a few of these together, pull them in, and just go for it. I am not going to be as particular as Emily was when she was stringing. You did grab the gray?
This is the gray for sure.
Okay.
The blue.
Okay. Let's look.
Just to make
There's
sure.
that one. Just so you guys can see the difference. Lusterstone gray is this guy, which is the one Brandon pulled, and then Lusterstone blue, which is a little lighter, which also looks good. They look great. They all look great. You can hardly make a bad choice. All right. So I'm just going to string these up. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to look. I'm just going to string. Okay. And yeah, so let's talk about wrist measurement while I am stringing. Okay. So wrist measurement, my mom, thanks Ma. That's kind of a joke between she and I. So when a cuff is wide, kind of like if there are any metalsmiths out there, and I know there are a few who make rings, when you make a ring that's wide, or if you have a ring that you wear that's wider, you can tell sometimes that when it's wider on you, it needs to be a little bit bigger. Because as the ring or the bracelet goes around your finger or your wrist, the wider it is, the more compact or the tighter it'll be, just related to how wide it is and it goes on your wrist. So I would say that with a cuff, and you're going to see when I size this and when I actually put it on the clasp, I have a little trick for measuring and sizing and fitting before I actually crimp anything. And I think you guys are going to find it helpful. So if my wrist is 6.5 inches, right, and I usually wear about a 7-inch to a 7.25 inch bracelet, I would probably make the bracelet 7.5 inches probably to allow for the width. And it also depends on if the width is wide and flat, or wide and chunky, right? Because wide and flat is going to take up, oops, I better put some of these Alice blue ones. Let me take this off for a second. Wide and chunky is going to take up more room, more width around your wrist, because the beads are tall. Does that make sense? Right? Wide and flat is going to take up less room because, you know, the beads have a lower profile. Okay? So it really, I would take some notes as you are sizing cuffs to yourself. And you know, try some different samples. When we had the bead store and when I had my brick and mortar store, I had some samples that were already strung up of the same kinds of beads, like maybe 4 millimeter and then an 8 millimeter and then maybe in 12 millimeter, something like that, especially in bracelets, so you could see how different the fit was. So if you make yourself little sizer, little testers, that will help. And Janice is noting as well, if it's wide, like I'm wearing this pearl wrap, my wrist is skinnier. I'll show you here. My wrist is skinnier here, and my arm starts to widen a little bit here. So you have to account for the size not only here, but here. Okay, so you probably want to take that wrist measurement a little higher up on your arm. It just depends. But again, it also has a lot to do with the size of beads you're using as well. So I hope that helps. Might have been a little bit of a little convoluted, but I hope that helps to answer. And you'll see when I actually finish this off how it pulls together. So there is my string of consciousness that I've been stringing while I've been chatting with you. And you can see here my goal is about here. So I've got a few more to go. And see how I'm using the O beads in this? All right. And Janice, we were that clever. I had some testers in the classroom at the bead shop. That is not true. I had those for stringing techniques. Janice just never knew what was going on. Right. I'd be teaching stringing techniques. We'd be getting the torches out. We'd be doing all that. But no, it was great to have those. I had the little bracelets. I'm sure I had them there. Almost 100%, I think. But they're really, really helpful. Let me put these guys on. And Janice, you have, and when Janice sizes, you know, does her necklace length sizes, she kind of does that little sizing with pearl strands, with the long pearl strands. So it's good to have some sizing samples around, especially if you sell your jewelry or you're, you know, selling it, like if you do craft fairs and stuff, you know, and if you have like a special order, a lot of times, you know, at shows and things like that, you are lucky enough to get kind of a special order, or you know, someone says, oh, I want to order a bunch of these for all my friends, and so you can kind of try on the different sizes. So it's kind of a good way to go. Okay, so you can see here I'm at about 6 1/4 inches right there. Okay, so I'm going to put a piece of tape on the other side. You can see I also really started with these 4 millimeters, and I didn't put any over here. So I'm going to put one more there. I'm going to put a 4 millimeter right there instead of that rondelle, and then put these guys back on. And that's the thing about doing this kind of in Emily's fashion, where you were really laying things out and doing them more as a pattern. Your beads will be maybe a little more spaced out a little bit, right? Spaced out more evenly. But I'm not too worried about that part. Okay. Yes, it's obvious that I'm not too worried about that part. So let me put a piece of tape on that one and put this aside. Okay, so we've got a beaded length right here. All right, let me sweep these guys aside for the moment and put this over there. So now we've got some decisions to make. All right, in our original 2 samples, what we've got here, we've got the chain in the middle, then we've got the beaded strands, and then we've got the leather, okay, in both of these. I know that I want the leather to be kind of the exclamation mark along the outside, okay? So I know I want this leather. I know I want this leather too. I want more leather. I want this. So that's 3 strands. And I know I want chain. Right? Like that. Oh, there it is. It's sitting right there. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe the 2 leathers sitting next to each other are a bit much. So maybe I'd put the braided leather in the middle and the chain over here. Can you guys see that? Are my fingers in the way? Maybe I like that. Then I'd repeat another beaded strand, another chain, and another one of these at the end. All right. It really depends on what works for you. So let me just start building this, and we can see what we like and what we don't. Okay. So I'm going to start with attaching this flat leather to the cord. Okay. And let me get this mix in a bowl, or else it's going to be on the floor instead. So let me just get this corralled here for a second. All right. And this is the same way that Emily did it with the samples, and it just depends. You know, I'm going a little bit off task here with this new colorway, but I really want to instill in you guys that, you know, you can take a riff off of what we're doing with these designs and create. You know, with the palette of the Dakota stones that we're using, you know, you could pull any of the Dakota stones. They would be just fantastic, terrific. I'm going to put those up there so we can see them. Okay. And let me get my clasp. I think I'm going to use, since this one had a copper, this one had a silver, I'm going to go ahead and use that brass one there, since I use the brass little shadows and stuff. Okay, there we go. Clean it up a little bit here. So I've got a little bit of room. So I'm going to start with the flat. And we've got these really good looped leather ends, okay? And they're perfect for attaching this flat leather to anything else, right? I don't know if I have it in, I don't have it in these prairies, but I used it in something else. I can't remember what I used it in. And we use this to connect. It might have been a necklace project. I can't remember what it was. But these are great. Anytime you want to add leather into your project, it gives loops, looped leather ends, to your leather. Okay. Now you can see, coming off the spool, this piece of leather is wonky, right? It's cut at an angle. So we want to start, before we glue, we want to start by slicing this off. I use my wire cutter, so it's a nice straight across cut, like that. Okay. So now I'm going to get a baggie, because, you know, when I glue, I like to use it, I like to glue on a baggie. And the glue I'm going to use, do you guys know which glue I'm going to use? Shout it out if you do, so I can hear you. I'm going to use the Zap. And again, I was not a big glue. I mean, I was a gluer. Don't get me wrong. I did some gluing with different stuff. But I didn't do a lot of like gluing of this leather, things like that. This Zap glue is like a miracle. I love it so much. And it really, really holds this leather well. And Kimberly Crawford, Kim, what she just said is she loves these ends. She throws them into her orders as stash builders. It's really true. Like if you're trying to make the next tier for a discount, or if you're trying to add to your loyalty points or something like that, throwing in a few of these as stash builders are a great way to go. the coloring on this leather, it's been printed, so it's almost like it's a part of the leather, so it doesn't really scratch or flake off. See how I'm rubbing this like a lot with my thumbnail? And if I really get down in there, I can kind of scrape it off, but it's not coming off, right? So it's really sturdy and printed on there. So it won't, when you glue this leather in, it won't pull out and leave the coating on the inside. It's really sturdy. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of glue. At least I think I am. Let me see if I can get this open. Bear with me here just a second. I should have pre-tested this before the show, but there we go. Now it's open. Let's get myself a little bit of glue. Come on out of there, Zap Glue. And I'm going to put that Zap right down on my baggie. Not too much. Okay. I'm going to put the lid on so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. And I'm going to get my toothpick and on the end of my leather, I'm going to add the glue to the cut end, right? And I'm also going to flip it to the back and add it to the back there. Okay. Now I should have enough, maybe a little bit on the sides. I'm kind of avoiding the front because if any glue kind of squirts out, it'll kind of be on the back of the piece. Okay. So now I'm just going to slide this sucker in. A little bit has come out the front, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to get a toothpick.
Right at the bottom of this.
Am I? Sorry, Brandon. There we go. Let me get up here. I'm going to wipe this with the toothpick, just carefully. You're the boss of the glue. You're in charge. A nice handy toothpick dispenser works out well. My mom got us these from the dollar store. Those of you who are at the bead retreat also got one from my mom from the dollar store. Right? They come in handy. Right. And again, if you're joining us a little late, welcome. It's great to have you. You know, you can always watch our replays right here on our Facebook page. You can also find us on the beadshop.com YouTube channel. I know a lot of you watch us later on YouTube. And it's nice on YouTube, you can blow us up really big so you can see the detail really well. And you can also, of course, watch it on our website at beadshop.com. right under the heading that says Facebook Live. So I'm going to take a cue from what Emily cut here. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to measure it and tell you how long it was. Since I want to get it, oh, thank you. Since I want to get it right,
a little bit of a corner
I did right there.
That creativeness going on.
There we go. Let me slide it up a little bit. I'm going to cut it about right there, and then I'm going to measure, because the clasp, I'll show you. Let me just give this a straight across cut. There we go. Free it off of the spool. When this goes in, let me cut this straight across here. There we go. When this goes in, don't go in the glue. You can kind of see how much extra you need, and that's about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, I think. Maybe just shy of it. Okay. So this leather that Emily has cut, the leather door to door from the coming outside of the clasp, is about 6 to maybe 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go here, 6 3/8, plus that quarter, so it looks like this is about exactly right. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my glue. It's drying a little bit, but I still think it's viable. I'm going to put it on the tip. I need to squirt out a little bit more, so I'm going to gently lay that there. There's our Emily. I can see our Emily just jumped on. Emily Miller, were your ears burning? We were talking fondly about you. It's good to see you, even only virtually. Add a little more of that glue. Now let's go ahead and add a little bit more of that glue to the sides, to the back, and the side. And I'm going to slide this on. Right in there. Let me get it a little closer to my eyes. There we go. It's in there. I'm going to get a fresh toothpick because these are all gluey. And I'm just going to scrape away really carefully that little bit of extra that comes out the back. Okay. So now, I mean, this looks just great just like this, right? Put one of our swivel clasps on here, and you've got a holiday gift. Done and done. Put a little slider on there. You are good to go. I know, Emily, I love the flat leather. I know, I do too. Yeah, and good. This is right on target. Just shy of 7 inches, which is perfect. Okay. So I'm going to set this one aside. I have a little glue on my awl. I'm not sure how that happened, but let me get it off of there. There we go. Get off of there. Glue. There we are. All right. What happened?
I'm just wondering what's buzzing.
Oh. All right. So I'm going to get rid of this glue because if I know me, I'm going to put my hand in it. So I'm going to toss that aside. So now I've got, and of course I'd repeat this for the other side, right? So I'm going to build this just towards the center. Okay? So I've got that guy there. So that's this one. So next, I need to make a decision. Chain, then this, I think. Okay, or maybe this, then this. No, I think beads. Beads for the center. Or that chain for the center. Beads on this side, chain going down the middle. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because then there'll be another bead strand, another braided leather. Or maybe, I don't know. Why can't I make up my mind? Maybe chain, maybe this, and braided leather down the center. That's what I want. That's what I want. Then another bead strand, another lentil, and another final of this leather. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So let me just attach. I'm going to start, and we're just going to build this as it goes. Okay, so let me get some jump rings, and we'll attach this one. My jump rings are sitting over here. Let me grab them. Hopefully I've got the right jump ring. Emily used the, I'll tell you, I've got it listed here, the 5mm 18 gauge jump ring. Which works out well, I think. Where are my pliers in all of this mess? There they are. So I'm going to get my jump ring. And I'm going to start trying this on kind of like every step of the way. Okay? I'm going to keep the clasp closed. Pop my jump ring on with 2 pliers. Bent chain nose in my left, straight chain in my right. Close it up. Attach it. Make sure it's nice and closed and tight. And then I'm going to do the other side. Okay. Then I'll put this side on. Okay. Now I can also check it. At this point, I can see, well, is that going to fit? I'll bring it around my wrist. And that looks, for me, it's going to sit probably about right there. You see that fit? That looks like about right. Okay? As long as I can get a fingertip underneath, I know that I've got enough room. So that looks good. So I'm going to take my measurement kind of off of this, and I'm going to keep it closed. Okay? So what did I say? What did I say next? Beads. Why can't I remember?
Look at the photos.
I did this. I think I did the chain. No, I did the beads. No, I think I did the chain. I'm going to put the chain on next. I don't care what you say. I'm going to put my chain on.
That's
That's
what people are saying.
That's what people are saying. Okay, good. So this needs to be about 7 inches long, just shy, right? So I'm going to cut it. Let me get my tape measure here.
I believe you're using 5mm jump rings?
Yeah, the 5mm 18 gauge. So I'm going to cut that link right off. This lentil chain has a nice hole in it, in the lentil. It's going to be that one right there. Has a nice hole in the lentil that the jump ring will go through. And hopefully it'll fit. I didn't check it beforehand, but let me see if it'll fit. I hope so. If it doesn't, we can go a little smaller with this one. Are you gonna mind me? It's not. So you know what? I'm not gonna worry. I'm just gonna cut the lentil off. The jump ring is big. I could get a smaller ring. The 4mm oval ring would be great for this too. But since I have these here in front of me, there we go. Who's the boss? Oh, good night, Suzanne. I'm sorry you're so sick. I hope you're feeling better soon. It's no fun to be under the weather. I'm going to go ahead and close it up. Now, when Emily did these, she put 3 strands of this of chain. I'm going to start with 1, and then I'm going to see how it looks. Okay? And maybe I'll add another. I'm going to cut away this lentil, being very careful to cover it up so it doesn't hit me in the head. And open it up, put this on, bring it around to its mate on the other side, making sure that there's no twist in the chain when I do it, and close it up. Okay, so here's 2 strands. Now, here comes the beads. Oh, you know what? I need to, that's what I'm going to do. The beads, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I think this is what happens when you go off script. See how I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got this chain in here, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops. So I'm going to actually have to connect this beaded portion and the chain to the same loop. That's okay. It's all right. It's not too much of a curveball, right? So we're just going to crimp this sucker right to that chain link. No big deal. N, B, D. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to get a crimp cover. You guys have seen me do this 5 bazillion times, so I'm going to do it pretty quickly. You can see our skill builder on our website, beadshop.com. You can see the skill builder from when we do these guys for the closure. And again, I can add more chain to that, you know, but I want you to see how each of these go on. So I'm going to put on a crimp tube. I'm going to go pretty, not super quickly, but I'll talk you through it as I'm doing this. Crimp tube goes on. Wire guard goes on. Soft flex goes back through the leg of the wire guard, slides through. I'm going to attach it, I think, to the jump ring I added there. Because if I want to open it up and add more chain, I can. Except it really wants to hang out with that lentil chain. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to put the crimp tube up. And through. Leaving just a tiny bit of space, tiny bit of space between the legs of the wire guard and the top of the crimp tube. I'm going to come in with my Xuron crimping plier, crimp this down, turn it, and fold it up, giving it a little hug with the tip of these Xuron pliers. I'm going to cut away my extra. Now I'm going to get my crimp cover in here. The crimp cover looks like a little Pac-Man, right? Or Lady Pac-Man, either way. It has like a little mouth that's going to come in here. And the mouth comes up and around the crimp tube. You can see the little fold of the crimp tube there. So I insert that crimp tube. I'll insert it and then I'll kind of get my fingers out of the way so you guys can see it. See how the crimp tube comes up and around the crimp, and that little bit of space that I put in between the bottom of the legs of the wire guard and the top of the crimp cover, that space gives this crimp cover some place to sit. I'm going to come in with the tips of my crimping plier and just close it up carefully, and then kind of press gently on the seam to round it up. That's it. That's on. So remember I told you that I have a little trick for sizing this up before I crimp it. So let me show you that little trick right now. Sometimes when you do this flat like this, you never ever want to close a bracelet like this flat because it will just never ever work. It just won't. And so you need to always crimp it in the round because it hangs so much differently when it's in the round, you know, a round bracelet. So let me go ahead and put on the crimp. I'm going to put on the crimp, the wire guard actually. Wire guard goes back through the loop of the chain. I want to make sure that it's lined up, or not through the loop of the chain, but the loop of the jump ring here. And then I go back through the crimp and I'm going to tighten everything up. Make sure all the slack is there in the loop, and you can just gently pull, pull, pull until everything is supple, but visually it's tight. Okay? So now, I'm going to put a piece of tape on there. I'm not going to crimp it. But the piece of tape, really carefully bending it over, the piece of tape on that soft flex is going to hold it on there, right? So I could mock, when I do this, I could mock up the whole bracelet with these little pieces of tape. Then I can try it on. And if I have to, if it's not quite right, let me get it closer to me and I'll put it on and then you guys can see it. I'll get back into frame. But it's getting more difficult as I add more strands. It's a little more difficult to put on. There we go. As I add more strands, you'll be able to see how it fits. So see, here's that beaded strand. Here's my leather strand. So I can see if everything is sitting nicely. And it's sitting pretty well, I think. Okay? I think that it's about the right size. When I turn it around my wrist or when I hold it up, it's kind of hard for you to see, but if I'm holding it, and I'll kind of do this here with my finger, if I kind of tighten it up, I can see that this beaded strand and the leather strand are about even, right? So it looks about right to me, okay? So I'm going to take this off. I don't even have to take off the tape. I can just come in and I can crimp this bad boy because I know I've got the right amount of slack in there. And I'm going to turn it. Fold it over, being careful not to crush any of the beads in the bracelet. And then give it its little squeeze there. I'll squeeze it one more time to make sure that it's nice and closed. There we are. I'm going to come in with my wire cutter, cut away my extra, and let's get that little Ms. Pac-Man and eat that crimp. So I'm going to come up from underneath. Get the cover. Yeah, the tape trick is a good one. I do that with necklaces too. You know, I always say, and you've heard me say it before, when I string, especially if I'm making a fancy piece, right? Something that's multiple strand, something that really needs to be fit. It's like making a couture garment, right? You just don't go to a dressmaker and hand her a dress pattern and say, okay, I'll be back for my dress, you know, and it'll be all finished. You've got to go back a few times and try it on, right? Same thing with this thing here. You need to try it all on before you actually finalize it. So the tape is a good way to do that. Oops, it's a little twisted here. Let me untwist and get this back together here for you. So now I'm going to add on my my centerpiece here. Okay, I actually want to give me just a second here while I untwist everything and get it going the right way. Sorry about that here. I just want to make sure this is right before I continue on our path. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to close it up. And like I said before, I could come in and add more chain here if I wanted. Okay, doesn't make any difference. let's go ahead and add our center line. I'm going to add this guy. And I'm going to do it kind of quickly because you've seen me do this before. I'm going to get a nice straight across cut here. The braided leather it's not bonded together, so it's 3 strands that are kind of loose. So I want to make sure that it's as straight across as I can get it. Might be a little fussy, so you might have to trim each one a little bit. And with this one, if you're doing this with leather in the center, you're going to need more looped leather ends, right? The recipe for these, is that a train? Is that actually a train out there?
Yeah.
We rarely hear trains. We've got some old train tracks running by us, but very rarely is there a train. So you can see here with the original how the 3 strands, they look really nice in the center too. So just these 3 would look great. You don't have to use the braided leather. You could add this lentil, do all 3 here in the center. It would look really cool. But I also really like the addition of kind of, you know, another texture in there. So that's the pyrite one. Let me also show you how you could mix your metals and throw in that gray one as well. I think it would all work. All right, but let me just add. Yeah, I've got time. I'm going to add this last guy right in there. Okay, and then I'll just repeat the other side when I have a moment to do so. So let me get my, again, a fresh glue base, right? Because if you're like me, you will put your hand in the glue. I put the glue to the side so I wouldn't lose it, and of course I couldn't find it. So we're going to glue this guy in. There we go. A little bit of glue. Gluing the braided leather is pretty much just like gluing the flat leather. So I'm going to do that there. And just as a reminder, you guys, I know some of you are fairly new to watching us on beadshop.com. We really thank you for joining us on this Facebook Live. You can find us, of course, right here on our Facebook group page under videos. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, beadshop.com, and you can join us over there. You might want to give us a follow on that page because you get notifications every time we upload a new video. So it's very helpful to give it a follow, because then you'll get those notifications when we post our new videos. We post our Free Tip Friday videos up there as well, so you won't miss any instruction. Getting those 3 little legs in this looped leather end can sometimes be a pain in the bootay, so we just want to make sure that it's all in there. There we go. Hang on, it looks like my feed is everything okay with the feed there, Brando?
Everything looks fine over here.
Okay, something went a little funky with my feed on my computer, so bear with me here, you guys, just a second while I pull it back up so I can see your questions. Meanwhile, you can look at this clasp.
Seem nice and tight.
There we go.
They're pretty thin anyway.
There we go. And it says that we're live, so let me go over to our live feed. There we are. Sometimes working with the Facebook Live, it's like a new show every time. So for some reason it's not, it's kind of kicked me out a little bit here. There we go. I can see your comments. I just can't see what I'm doing. Let me just log back in one more time. Sorry about this, you guys, but if I can't see the screen, I can't always see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. There we go. It'll just take me a second to pull it up here. Alrighty, so meanwhile, while I've been searching that, this Zap glue has bonded. Yes. So I'm just going to come in. It was just shy of 7 inches, right? So I'm going to come in Measure that down. Give it a little trim. And glue it. Get the rest of the glue on that back. Get that end in. Right in there. There we go. Good one. Then I'll let this set for a minute and then I'll attach it like I did the other one. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit to the side there. Now the last thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up is the wire wrapped components that I've got here. There we go. I've got your comments back. There we go. Thank you. I'm all set. Emily did these great little wire wraps here with just little bits, which I like the little dangles. I think that they add a lot to this design. So I got some head pins here in all of this mess. I see copper. I know I grabbed brass. Are they here? They're the silver. Brandon and I are looking. Here it is. There they are, under this pile. So I used the 2-inch. They're about a 21 gauge-ish, 20 gauge-ish. They're a nice size for this. So all you do, and it's just, you've seen me do this a lot, so I'll do this kind of quickly, but I'll slide this guy, this melon on. I'm going to slide a couple of the Hishi on, and maybe this 4mm, like that. I don't know, that dangle might be a little long. Let's see. Let me look at Emily's. Yeah, maybe I'll go a little smaller. So it's just slightly smaller. There we go. And I'm just going to do a wire wrap. Now it would be the same thing as if I do a wire wrap for an earring or however I do it, but we have a great skill builder on it, on our website. I'm going to start by bending at a right angle with my chain nose. Up and over with my round nose, the wire over the round nose. I don't want to make this loop too big as I loop it around, but I want it large enough so it'll have some movement. Okay, and I'm just going to start putting this in, I don't know, wherever. Pick a loop, slide it in. Okay, and this lentil chain has nice big loops there in between the lentils that will take that wire. Then I'm going to grab the loop, let gravity do its thing, kind of tilt it so the little beads are tilting down, you know, towards the head pin. I'm going to get my bent chain nose, and I'm just going to wrap one wrap below the other, nice and even, all the way around. All right? And I'm going to clip that extra away, trying not to clip the loop or any other beads. Then I'm going to use my bent chain to push that little tip of the wire right in. And that's it. That's all she wrote. It wants to twist on me in front of all of you guys. Let me untwist it. There we go. So you can see how that, let me isolate it a little bit, it'll be a little bit easier to see. But you can see it'll go all the way along, right across. And I think this is set enough, so I'm going to put this on just real quick with some jump rings. If I can see, I've made, Brandwin, the biggest mess on this table.
They're in the little container, right?
Yeah, here they are. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. Get those guys in there. and we're just going to attach that center. So it's a little bit of a riff, and I know I had, you know, we've got some really great samples. We've got this guy here, the Callisto. We've got the Ganymede, which has disappeared. Here it is, right here. But I thought, you know, I wanted to really show you guys, because I think that the takeaway from this this design is that you really, you know, like I say, you do you. You kind of play around with the beads and see how they all go together. The two samples we have here and here, you could also mix up the order. You don't have to put them in the exact same order that we put them in, you know. So you just you decide what works for you and do it. All right. I'm going to open that up, this guy up, and I'm going to slide this along the other side. There we go. My bent chain should actually be in my non-dominant hand, so let me stop fighting it.
You're a little low on the low side.
A little on the low side, there we go. Let me get back in the camera range and get this guy. I'm the boss of these pliers. Pliers, there we go. There we are. I've got them right in there. There we are. Done and done. So let me close this up so you guys can kind of see it halfway done. I'll have it all the way done and we'll have it posted. Again, sorry, this sucker is twisting. Emily, did this twist on you so much when you were making it? It's really, that's why I should never undo the clasp when you're putting these guys on. I think I might have actually twisted the center. That is why. Let me just untwist it and fix this real quick. That is why you always leave the clasp closed. So let me close the clasp. Do as I say and not as I do. There we go. I'm in charge. You close up. And let me bring this around. There we go. Let's see, there was a bead question that I'm going to try and answer here in a second. Let me just wrestle this guy on here. There we go. Close your clasp, you guys, when you put this together so you're not like me. There we go. So look at this. Look at how killer this lineup looks. I think it looks really great. And so I'll repeat this on this side. It has a little bit of a Southwest flair to it. I feel like it has a little bit of a vintage flair. There's all kinds of flair going on with this one. I love it. I love it. Oh, and Emily, you said you also worked center out. It seemed easier. That's good. That's good advice. I think you're probably right. Working from the center and then working out. Going across here, it's giving me a little bit of fits. So if you do this middle one and then these two and then the outer ones, will probably make it a little bit easier. That's great. And there's a question. Let me scroll back here a little bit. There was a bead question.
What was below the?
What was
the dangle? What was above the dangle?
Oh, the dangles. So on the dangles here, it's on the lentil chain, and then the dangle, I use the melon bead. I use 2 of the O beads right here, and then of course I used a little shadow. No surprise there. Okay. Yeah, no, it looks great. Oh, thanks, Cindy Brooke. A sassy bracelet. I think it's pretty sassy. Sassy pants. I think it is. Okay, so that's that. Again, I will finish this lineup, and we'll have it posted. I'll have to name it. But I'm pretty stoked with the outcome of these mixed leathers. You know, the 5mm leather are. I think that it's just so much fun to work with. And those of you who joined us a little late, I'll pull these in and then I'll wrap it up. But I wanted to show you guys this guy that has the skyscraper clasp. This just has 8 strands of that Fleur de Paris in it, right? So you could mix something like this with like 1 or 2 strands of the braided leather. It would look great, right? That would look really good. We also used some of this, these were from a Facebook Live project a while back. You could also put in, like especially with this monochromatic one that we did, you could add a little bit of our stylings of prairie over the top of that. That would look great with the Ceylon, the regular Ceylon. We also did it in a beaded version, and you could add a few sliders or something on there. So I think it would all work out pretty nicely. Hey Karen, is Karen still here, or Ivan? I think we've got some cat requests. Can you free that bad boy up? That bad boy? All right. So I guess, Brandon, I'll hand this over to you. We'll wrap this up. I need to make sure I've got all of my pieces and parts ready to go. I will, let me pass that over to you.
Okay.
There we go. And we'll get this all up and running.
See how badly I kicked this? Oh, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. We've got this bad boy. Thank you, Ivan. There we go. Are you going to be a good boy? There he is, for all of you. He was in my office, I think, sleeping on my desk, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
look
what
at
a
my
good
shoes.
boy. What a good boy. There he is. How are you, Alfred? He's very interested in what Brandon's doing with the curtains. There he is. There's our boy. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our foray into Kate's take on a beaded cuff. You can see what a giant mess the table is here in front of me. Right? He is. He's such a big cat. I'm just going to let him roam around amongst the beads here. Alfred, you go rest. Alrighty. So, of course, as always, I have some fun things for you when you stick around to the end of the broadcast. First of all, I made a little mix for you guys since it was the beginning of fall, and I had some pretty semi-precious kicking around. These were actually some of the pretty strands that we had in the trunk show, for the retreat. So they're all semi-precious, and it's a nice little baggie of saucers and tubes in this kind of fun fall colorway. So we've got that as a giveaway today. So if you, two things. So today is Wednesday, October 17th, right? If you make an order of any size, oh, here comes the cat. Thank you, Alfred. If you make an order of any size and you put fall mix, can you see that in there?
Yes, we can.
There we go, fall mix. And the shipping notes, we'll send you your little baggie. That offer is good until about 1 o'clock Pacific time, which is in about an hour from now, okay? And also, if you do put any of our stones, any of our semi-precious in your cart, and you use stones 25, all that'll be 25% off. So we've got two things, fall mix in your shipping notes, and stone 25 in your coupon box. This 25% is good until tonight at midnight, 10/17/2018. But if you're, great, now he's drinking out of my coffee cup, right? If you miss this, always make sure to go to our website, beadshop.com, and put in your email in our newsletter, and you will get all kinds of great offers and giveaways and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're not a part of our newsletter, go hop over there. Also, we have our private Facebook group called The Bead Table on Facebook. It's a beadshop.com community. We hope to see you over there if you haven't joined already. Jump on over and join. And I will see you Friday for Free Tip Friday. I've got some fun stuff cooked up for you for Friday. And then next week, I should look and see. I don't even know what project I'm doing next week. Someone tell me what it is. I know it's a good one. I just don't quite know what it is. Let me look. I'm looking on my, oh, that's why, duh. That's why I'm wearing it on my wrist, Brandon.
I was just gonna say, when you never mentioned your beautiful bracelet and your.
That's why I'm wearing it. What day is it? Who are you people? And what are you doing here? This is the endless bracelet, and it's also endless bracelet, and you could also be worn as a necklace. So I have a kit debuting next week, special pearl kit, and we're going to be playing with this. So it's a limited edition, so I can't wait for you guys to see that. And we're going to soft flex, we're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. This is going to be my go-to for holiday wear this year. I'm so excited about it. So that's what I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed our time together. I know that I did. And thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you guys on Friday, right here for Free Tip Friday, and next week on Facebook Live. All right, you guys, talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.